if I should take a notion to go and jump into the ocean, ain't nobody's business if I do. Then if I go to church on Sunday and go dancing all day Monday, ain't nobody's business if I do. Well, if my man ain't got no money, I go to him and say, take mine, honey. Ain't nobody's business if I do. Ooh, and if I give that man my last nickel and it leaves me in a pickle, ain't nobody's business if I do.
Ain't nobody's business what I do. So you've all heard that Bible phrase, judge not lest you be judged, right? That's the Bible saying it ain't nobody's business. Mind our own business. Today's talk is judge not. So there was a couple who moved into a new neighborhood. And they had a little breakfast nook with windows around it, and it could see into the neighbor's yard. And the neighbor had one of those old-fashioned clotheslines that I used to love years ago. You still have one. Yeah, I know. And these clothes smell so good, don't they? So they'd be sitting there eating breakfast, and the neighbor would be hanging her clothes out. And the wife would look out and go, wow, she doesn't know how to wash clothes. Look how dirty they are. And her husband he knew better. He just kept eating. He didn't say anything. And so whenever they'd sit down at the table and have breakfast and the laundry was out, the wife always commented on the dirty laundry. Well, a few weeks went by, and they sat down at breakfast, and she looked out and she went, oh my gosh, she finally learned how to wash clothes. Look how clean they are. She said, I wonder what she did. And the husband said, I washed our windows yesterday. What I see depends on the clarity of the window I'm looking through. So what thoughts cloud up my window? My perception, my judgment. How does that cloud how I see others, how I see the world? Because what I'm doing when I'm looking through my dirty window is I'm really misinterpreting that person's actions, aren't I? I don't know what's going on. So when I'm judging another person, I'm not defining them. I'm defining me, aren't I? So, how many times since you got up this morning have you judged? Kind of like almost every minute or so, isn't it? I had this great walk on the beach the other day, and I was just in this joyous place, and everything was wonderful, and I was pondering my talk. And I pulled out of the driveway, and this car pulled right in front of me. Didn't even see the stop sign. And I watched my judgment. I'm working on the talk, and I watched this judgment come up on my face. It's that fast. It's that fast. So in Matthew 7:3, Scripture reads, why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eyes, but do not notice the log in your own? How do my thoughts cloud the window I'm looking through? It's easy to judge, isn't it? We judge all the small things, how somebody dresses, how their voice sounds, if they're messy, if they're annoying, if they're rude. We judge the big things. What's wrong with our country? What's wrong with the world? We put on our robe. We sit at that bench. We grab our gavel. And we make judgment. We correct all the errors that we see around us. You know what? I would not be able to see those traits in someone else if they weren't in me. Because in a sense, what I'm doing is I'm judging myself. There's something in me that bothers me, and so I'm going to notice it in someone else. So I might say, oh, that person's really overweight. Well, you know what? I'd really like to lose a few pounds, so of course I'm going to make that judgment. So when you find yourself judging something out here, take a moment and reflect and see where that is inside yourself. So just take a second right now, and just close your eyes for a minute and think of something you recently judged, something that recently happened that you judged. And then see if you can find a piece of that in yourself. And then when you do, just laugh. That awareness, that knowing. The other thing that I like in Scripture that we hear a lot is in John 7:24. And it says, do not judge by appearances, but judge with right. King James Version says righteous judgment. How many of you heard that one? Do not judge by appearance, right? Yeah, that's one we kind of get crammed down as two. So there was a plane, and its flight was Seattle to San Francisco. However, it was unexpectedly diverted to Seattle. I'm sorry, Sacramento. So the people on the plane hear this announcement come across and saying the plane's going to be late and that they're going to have to deboard in Sacramento. Well, things are taken care of. So everybody gets off, and the pilot's the last one to leave the plane, and he's getting ready to leave. He notices there's a woman still on the plane. So he walks down to check on her, and as he gets closer, he realizes she's blind and she has her guide dog with her. So he says, ma'am, would you like to get off the plane? No, I'll help you. She says, no, I'm comfortable. She says, but if you would take Buddy for a walk, he could really use to stretch his legs. Okay, guys, you got off that plane because there was a delay, right? And you're sitting in the waiting area, right? And here comes the pilot off the plane with his sunglasses and a guide dog. You wouldn't judge by appearance, would you? Not only did they not want to get back on the plane, they wanted to change airlines. Things are not always as they appear. My judgment is usually based on lack of information, my assumptions, not facts. I can't have any idea what's going on in someone else's life, why they're saying or doing or behaving a certain way. I don't know what's happening. Luke 6:37, and you've heard this one. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. It means don't judge and you won't be judged. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Why? Because once I forgive, I don't hold that in me anymore. Give, and it will be given to you. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. Whatever I'm giving out, whatever energy I am giving from. So if I'm judging somebody out here, if I'm making these negative judgments, how am I going to be seeing the world? What's coming back to me? Am I going to see good, happy, positive things coming back to me? Or am I going to see more negative? This is one of our principles. Law of mind action. How I perceive things, how I believe things is exactly what I'm going to see in the world. The energy I put out here is the energy things are going to come back to me. We talk about this in our offertory right now, about when I give, whether it's money, whether it's love, whether it's words, whether it's kindness, whether it's judgment. That's exactly what's going to come back to me. It's all about energy. Judging is tiring, isn't it? It saps my energy. It drains my peace of mind. So why? Why do we hold on to it? What is it about judgment that makes it so hard to let go of? So again, think of something you might have been judging recently. You know what? I just had an experience I'm going to share with you in a minute. But what I found when I was in that judgment is I didn't want to let it go because I liked it. I was right. I was right. I didn't want to give it up. I was sitting in my chiropractor office. There's usually a couple people in there. It was packed. He was way behind. There was one chair left. And so I sat next to the chair of a 16-year-old who had his earbuds in. You know, he's engrossed, and I like waiting rooms because I get to catch up on my emails and stuff, so I pulled my cell phone out and started, and everybody in the waiting room, have you been in a waiting room, Wesley? What's everybody doing? They're on their phones, right? Well, there was a gentleman in there, and he was on the opposite end of the room, and in this big, booming voice, he was a very big man, big, booming voice. What's wrong with people today and these cell phones? Everybody's got their face in a cell phone. I remember when you sit in a waiting room like this, and people would get to know each other, and people would talk to each other and be friendly. Now we don't even say hi to each other. Well, he intimidated a few of them. They put their phones down and said, hi, hi. And he kept it up. And the last one was the kid pulling his earplugs out, participating. You know what? I was not going to do it. I watched myself go right there. And I said, there's no way I'm looking up from this cell phone now. And then what? He starts talking about me. And I'm going, okay, now, what's the response? I'm going through all my minister talks here, and I'm getting, do nothing. Do nothing right now, because nothing I said or did was going to change that. And then eventually he stopped. Once he got everybody talking, he said, look at this, look what I did. I got everybody talking. And then he did add, you know, I don't own a cell phone. You know, I'm pretty important. People around the world know who I am. And I started to get a little insight on this individual. And I went, he doesn't have a cell phone. Maybe technology is a little hard for him to grasp. Maybe he wants other people to talk to because he can't do this. And so I watched myself move into a different place as I started looking at this man who eventually stopped talking and sat there with his eyes closed. I think he fell asleep. So I thought, wow, you know, I could have carried some stress and anxiety, some unhappiness, and maybe some anger and frustration about this person the rest of the day, or maybe even a couple days. What about you? Have you judged recently? Are you still carrying it? And what does that feel like? What someone says or does doesn't mean anything until I apply my meaning to it, right? It's their opinion. It's their projection of their perception. So why would I want it to ruin my day, days, weeks, months? Anybody carrying judgments for a few years? And it's not about me, is it? You want to put that up, Andrew? When someone is out here in their stuff, can I realize it's their stuff and that has nothing to do about me? It's not about me. We have these little cards we'll be giving you guys later. I've done a similar talk a few years ago. I thought it was time to bring it back. Someone else sitting in a chiropractor office yelling at everybody. I could have taken it personally. This is what we do. We sit in these situations that may be uncomfortable. We do our process, and while we're in them. And remember, it's not about me. It's only about the meaning I give it, right? It's the meaning I give it that's going to cause me pain, that's going to cause me suffering, that's going to suck me into a victim mode. And when I allow that to happen, you know what? Andrew, it's all about me. It's all about me. So do you see the switch? Someone else's actions out here has nothing to do with me until I give it meaning. And that's when it becomes all about me. So you're going to get these cards. Put them someplace where you can see them. And put the one facing up, the one you think you need to practice the most. Let it be a reminder for you. What I say and what I do is my projection of my perception of the world, right? Every negative thought that goes through my head is a judgment. If I'm whining, if I'm complaining, what is that? If I'm blaming, what am I doing? Judging. You know, when you run a whole church, there's lots of areas to run in this church, things that you guys just don't see. Heidi's laughing because she's been spending time here as a volunteer. How many of you have volunteered here and went, oh my gosh, I didn't know how much went on in this place, right? Yes, yes. And so I invite you when you come, and you just come on Sundays, if you see something that you start to judge, come and tell me about it. Come and talk to me about it, because there may be this whole big picture over here that you don't see. And I've had someone do that this week. And I went, thank you for coming to me and talking to me about this. And when I explained to this person what was behind it, they went, oh, I had no idea. It's so easy to judge things on the surface. And when I'm judging, no matter what it is I'm judging, what kind of energy am I sending out? What kind of energy? Negative, right? So is that going to help the person? Is that going to help the situation? Or is it going to make it even more negative? I pour into that situation all my negativity. And what's that doing? What is that doing to my health? Not good. You know, when I judge, notice when you judge or when you've got those negative thoughts, take a minute and notice what it feels like in your body. What's your body feel like? It does this in places, doesn't it? Stress, yeah. Your gut, your head, your back. It shows up in us because it's energy. And if I'm holding negative energy, if I'm judging, I'm the one I'm hurting. I had a teacher say once when they were talking about unforgiveness, it's like holding a burning ember in my hand. I'm the one being hurt for any negative thoughts I'm holding. Every time I judge, every time I whine, every time I blame, I'm hurting me. So start paying attention. Our bodies are incredible tools. If there's something in your life that isn't working, if there's something in your life that you just find yourself thinking about all the time, take time to look at it, to process it, to pick it apart and say, where am I holding this in my body? You know, why is it all of a sudden people go along and all of a sudden they've got some health challenge? Didn't even know it was there. Because this stuff builds up, it's energy, it builds up in our body. We create black clouds inside of ourselves. So what energy are you projecting to another person in your life? Even if you think you're right. What energy are you projecting to a situation in your life? What are you judging? And by doing this, are you creating space to receive the peace and the joy you want in your life? If you're not giving it out, how are you going to receive it? We all want peace on earth. How are we going to have peace on earth as long as we keep the habit of judgment? For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. Really hear that. Really know that. no matter how right I think I am. Is it worth my health? Is it worth my peace? Is it worth the health and the peace of this world? Course in Miracles, A Course in Miracles. Anyone familiar with A Course in Miracles? There'll be a few of you, yes. Says, today I will judge nothing that occurs. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. Today? How about the next 5 minutes? So this week from now on, when you start to monitor your brain, monitor your thinking, and you find that judgment coming in. And remember, it looks like a lot of different things, but you can feel it. Your body can feel it. And when you find yourself doing it, stop. Take responsibility for your thinking. Make a conscious effort to be, in that moment, be the presence of love. Be the presence of kindness. Be the peace you want to see in your life and in this world. Friends, judge not because it ain't your business. Thank you.